Good morning. Hi, everyone. What I wanted to do today was actually share some footage with you guys from the KTM RC 8C delivery experience in Jerez in southern Spain. We just came back from that event and it was an absolutely amazing experience. But one of the most special things that I found about it was the ability to actually meet the mechanics and the team that built the motorcycles. And so some of you guys might already know, but the RC8C is very much a collaboration between Kramer Motorcycles and KTM. Now, what's really fascinating about that is Markus Kramer and the Kramer Motorcycles team and their passion for building, track-ready, race-only motorcycles. And a bit about Markus is that he actually came from KTM. He was an engineer and a group lead there for many years, and then he wanted to build custom race bikes, and so he went on his own way and did exactly that. He built an amazing bike called the Evo R and also the GP2, and I guess life has a way of going full circle, and so now he's doing this collaboration with KTM on the RC8C. Now, what KTM have done though is provide new aerodynamic bodywork, as well as those really awesome carbon fiber wings that you see in the photos. I can tell you in person, they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. And the other big change is the airbox. And so that's gonna help with power delivery and with just power output as well. Before we got our individual bikes, KTM actually did a presentation to talk about the ins and outs of the bike. And they had Markus come up and present the bike, right, to show you why he chose certain things and why he did certain things in the way that he did, and I think it really speaks to the level of attention and the passion they have for the sport, right? Every little thing about the bike is built for the racetrack, and from the ergonomic adjustments and for the way the fuel tank is positioned below the seat so that you have a lower center of gravity for improved agility, quick change for the front wheel, and all sorts of little things that just make your life easier as a track day rider or a racer. And so I'll share the video with you guys right now. I'm gonna leave it unedited just because I want you to feel like you were there with us and that you got the presentation firsthand, because I think it was pretty cool. It's a bit long, but I think for the guys that really love details and mechanics, you'll enjoy the video, and you'll enjoy all the little the ins and outs of the bike. So I'll see you at the end of the clip. Thanks.
Alright guys, so myself and Markus will just take you through the bike quickly. Obviously it's impossible to touch every point because there's literally so many points. But during the day, please feel free to ask myself, Markus, or anyone from the team, Andy. Everyone has a lot of knowledge about the bike. Obviously there's a lot of settings that you can do, and as we suggested, specifically in the morning, don't bother doing anything. Just ride the bike. For sure the suspension still needs to break in. Everything still needs to settle in, so making major adjustments, you're not going to achieve anything. After lunch, if you need to do preload or anything like that, that's easy, we can help you with no problem. So I think let's start off with what's the heart of the motorcycle is the engine. So a lot of guys were asking, why didn't we go for a high production race motor? And I think it's obvious. If we had a high production race motor, you couldn't get parts, difficult to find someone to service it, and running costs obviously become quite high. So we've gone for the parallel twin 890 motor, which is obviously iconic for KTM, which is the motor that we supplied to Markus and his team, and 128 horsepower,
That's right,
for a motorcycle that only weighs 140 kilograms. So it's very close to a 1-to-1 power to weight ratio. And I think that's where the strength is of this motorcycle, right, Markus?
Plus the torque, of 100 Newton meters.
Yeah.
That's you will feel it when you go out for the first laps. It's pushing really well out of the corners. So it's a very torquey, powerful engine.
Yeah. Obviously, going from the engine, you look at the chassis. We had a lot of questions on this online chatbot that we had during the pre-order process. A lot of guys were asking, is it an 890 Duke R with fairings on it? And the answer is no. It's a custom-made, purpose-built frame for this motorcycle. So although it looks very similar and iconic to KTM, because obviously steel chromoly is what we do and what we use, it's a purpose-built frame for this motorcycle. Now, when we go further from there, obviously a lot of these parts you would recognize. We go back to the swing arm, cast aluminium, yeah?
Correct, yeah.
And there's a lot of small bits and bobs that you'll pick up during the course of the day. For example, behind the footrest you'll see there's a plate there, so when you do have that oopsie or the crash, you don't damage the actual swing arm, you can just replace the part. The hanger for the stand is also, it's not tapped into the swing arm, so you won't damage the thread. So I think Markus and his team really thought this through, put a lot of effort in.
We crashed a lot, during development, and then you know what is breaking, and trying to avoid the expensive damages to the bike.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of crash protection to the bike, and tried to save, let's say, the expensive components, and to be able to make a quick repair when you have a crash, to be back on track as fast as possible. There's also one big difference between a road bike and a race bike, that the service and repair on the race bike is much quicker. You're taking the fairings off and going in there where you need to work on. It's very fast and easy. And but hopefully today we don't need to do that. So hopefully we can stay in the theory. But in case it happens, the crash protection works really well. And as I said, we crashed a lot in the past. One question I always often get is the frame protection. On the market there's a lot of frame protection which are doing more damage than good. It's a bit different design, as you can see. We don't have a direct connection from the crash pad to the frame. We have this aluminium plate in between, and this will absorb the energy. Underneath the screw, you don't see it. It's a long hole that allows the plate to flow under the screw, absorb the energy, and reduce the damage on the bike. So really proven crash protection, and as I say, hopefully we don't need that.
I mean, we don't want to talk about crashing too much, but let's quickly just take them through the different crash protections. So as we mentioned on the back, so all the high points I think you've covered. On the back, as I mentioned, in the swing arm, there's a plate. On the rear tank, on the side, replaceable. Markus, maybe on that side, you can take it from there.
As I just mentioned, main frame protection, and the steering stops, also a plastic part which absorbs the energy when you have a hard impact. First this one, secondly this plastic part. So we reduce. We don't have a hard stop like on normal road bikes, where you shear off a screw or the triple clamp. So it's cheap and easy to replace.
You've also tried to think of the bottom fork legs, right?
Oh yeah. I forgot about these. The standard thing is a crash pad with a bar through the axle, but you always have to disassemble it to change the wheel. So with our concept, this can always stay on the bike. You can change the wheel without touching the crash protection here. It's just hanging on the screws. It's not the screw is not clamping the protection. It's just hanging on there. So
Markus, I think one thing that you said quick and easy. So removing fairings is quick and easy, really quick to remove. Same with the front fender, but also on the front wheel, right?
Yeah, changing the front wheel. So normally what you do on the track is opening the bolts, take the caliper off, get the front wheel out. It's similar to a MotoGP or let's say a racing type thing. Here we have two quarter turns. Open these, take the fender off. Just open the clamp here, take the axle out. The calipers can stay where they are. You just take the front wheel, rotate the calipers to the outside, front wheel out and in. A lot faster than always opening these screws. And as you know, over the time you do it a lot, and it's not so good for the thread if you're just 100 times open and closing it. So it's faster and better.
Seeing them in the front, let's quickly talk about the brakes. Brembo Stylema calipers, which is pretty much the best calipers the average person can buy on the market. Supported by 290mm front disc brake. Now when I looked at it on paper, I said, but the 890 Duke R has 320mm front brake. Why do we have smaller discs? And the reason is simple, it's the weight, right?
It's the weight, and the big negative when you go bigger in diameter is always a rotational forces, and to make a better handling. it's better to have smaller disc, and because the bike is so light, we can reduce the diameter and still have enough braking performance and have a better handling than on a by running a big massive disc.
Let's maybe talk about the master cylinder, the brake pump, also my Brembo RSC. It's really good, eh?
Yeah, it's a very good master cylinder with a lot of adjustments. Some of you probably know this. Yeah, you can change the feel on the lever, there's an offset which you can adjust with a screwdriver in here, which is the distance between pivot point and the rod. So at the moment we have it on the softer feel. You can also rotate it on the 20 millimeters, so you have a bit harder feel on the lever. The dead stroke adjuster here, you also have 3 adjustments there. That means how long is the dead stroke until the brake really applies. And of course, as every lever, you can adjust the position, and it's foldable.
I think this is maybe something today that we can play, because that's rider specific, and that's obviously down to each rider. But there's 3 different settings. I mean, there's a lot of settings, but there's neutral, sport, and race. So we can help you with that, no problem. But yeah, just in terms of braking, I think you guys are going to be quite surprised how quickly it stops. Let's maybe just jump through to the suspension, because for sure that's, I think.
Maybe one last point about the brakes. They are all brand new on your bikes, like also the tires are new. So when we do the first laps, be gentle. Don't go full 100% on the brakes when they're brand new. They also need to be scrubbed in. This is why we do the first session really slow, to run the tires in, run the brake disc a little bit in. So we have all day to push. So the first turn should be scrubbing everything in.
Markus front forks, so WP Pro Components. And it's quite interesting. We've got Daniel here from WP. He's hiding somewhere, but no, he's not. There he is. Just talking to Daniel, because from the marketing side, we always see these numbers, and there's a lot of information, with different parts. With these forks specific, so it's WP Pro Components, and correct me, 7546, I think is the number. 43. Thank you. See, good to have you here. But basically what it means is that number means something. So it starts with the 7, and what the guys from WP did is they broke it down. 5 would be basically what we have on a production bike, so like on a Super Duke. 6 would be Pro Components, and 7, which we got here, is the next level Pro Components. 8 doesn't exist, and 9 is the bike in the back there. So basically what we're saying is the suspension you got is the closest thing to an RC16 that you can get. Obviously there's a lot of settings, so we've got rebound, compression, and preload on the front forks. But as we said, just bed it in, get used to the bike. We'll have a look during the course of maybe after lunch and see if you need any settings. Markus, maybe before we go to the back shop, let's just explain the triple clamps, because again, there's also quite a couple of possibilities.
Oh yeah. On the triple clamps, we can adjust the offset. We have a 26 and 28 millimeter offset that mainly change the trail of the bike and stability. And the whole geometry changes. Every change on the geometry affects all the other angles and things. So you can do quite a lot. We will talk later on the rear end. So offset on the triple clamp. Plus on this bike, we can also change the head angle. We have an insert in the top, which is now on the center position. But when you later on feel, okay, I want to have it a bit steeper, or want to have it different, there's different inserts you can get with an offset to put it in, change the angle as well.
I think this is one of the first bikes where, when we started talking about the bike, I realized that this is the bike where you actually read the manual. Yeah. Other bikes you don't read it, you just get up and go, but this one you really want to read the manual and take a bit of time. Let's maybe take it from there. Let's talk about, obviously we've got steering damper, so it's got 30 clicks adjustment. You can do it on the fly, which is pretty easy. I think on the dash we can maybe jump back to that, because I think we need a little bit of time with that one. Let's just talk about the rear shock. Also, a lot of adjustments. So we've got preload on the side, so quite easy to do. You don't need your big C-spanner and all the tools to do that adjustment. Obviously rebound we've got, and then we've got high and low speed compression, right? So Yeah, I mean,
Plus-
quite convenient on the side here, through the side of the tank, which you guys will see a little bit later.
see there.
Yeah, but that's not all. There's more settings, right?
Yeah, that's not all. I mean, that's the damping settings in preload, but we can also change the geometry, means the swing arm angle. On the shock, we have the length adjustment here, where you can really do a fine tune on the angle. Plus, we have, you see it down here, we call it a flip chip, where you can do your base setting. It's basically doing the same, the position of the flip chip. You can change the swing arm angle in big steps, and you can do the small adjustments on the thread of the shock.
Yeah, a lot of info. Obviously rear sets, 3 different settings, and they can adjust in 66 millimeters. All the bikes are fitted with race shift, right?
Correct.
You do have the possibility to swap around, but it's not just a quick take a bolt
No,
out.
it's you need a different shift lever to go to a road shift if you need to. Yeah, you cannot change it on the bike. It's a different lever you need to get if you want to change it on your bike later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's possible as well.
One question I had was when we were looking at the bike, I said, "Hey Marcus, like the bike looks so cool. You know, we've got this big carbon scoop at the bottom." And I said, "Does it actually do something?" And Marcus started laughing. He said, "Yeah, it does, but it also looks cool." So yeah, it serves 2 purposes. So it does help with a little bit of downforce, but it's mainly about the cool factor. Marcus, maybe just quickly tell us about the tank. Something quite unique.
Oh yeah. So that's a rotor molded XPE fuel tank. So the whole rear section where you sit on is just a plastic part. There's no steel structure, nothing in it. This is also one way how we get the weight down of the bike. You know, that we give the parts multiple purposes and functions. You can get 16 liters in it. And also, you know, the concern, you know, many questions is, I shouldn't talk about crashing, but I have to bring up the point, how crash resistant is a fuel tank. And the crosslink PE is the same as they use at the Rally Dakar. The material is not cracking, it's deforming. And in all the years, since 2014, we are racing this tank, and we never had a broken fuel tank, so it's flexing and bending. But it's very, very strong, good material.
Yeah, and we mentioned that the bike is a purpose-built track/race bike. You also thought about draining fuel and also measuring fuel, so maybe we can just show them on the other side here.
When, if you do racing, you only want to carry as much fuel as you need for the race. And it's always hard to get the fuel out of the tank or how to measure. So this is why we have this draining plug here. You just take the cap off, and then there is a female connector and a hose. You just click it on, open the fuel cap that the air can go in, you drain the fuel tank. So when you're on a race weekend, what you normally do, say put 8 liters in, go out for your spin, after the spin get the fuel out, and then you can calculate how much fuel do I need for a lap, calculate how much fuel do I need for the race, put an extra liter in, fill it up. But yeah.
Maybe while we're on this side, let's talk about the exhaust. So we've got stainless steel from the front all the way to the back. Obviously titanium Akrapovic slip-on exhaust. For the bikes today, we've got a DB killer. We've taken them out. So they normally, it's with the DB killer in, it's 103 decibels, and with it out, like now, it's 105. But on your personal track or hometown track, if you have to reduce it, you can also buy, it's at 898.
Now it's a special big slip-on damper, but you can get it from Power Parts.
Yeah, but it brings it down to 98 decibels.
98 decibels.
Yeah. So yeah, a couple of options, but yeah, we said for today, because we got the track, louder is better. So yeah. Let's maybe talk about the dash quickly. So the AIM data logger, I mean, the name needs no introduction, I think. But yeah, there's a lot of buttons going on here, so not nearly as much as on the RC16, which I think is a good thing, but maybe just quickly, just briefly run us through it.
Yeah, we try to make it as simple as possible. I mean, first, this is the main switch, to switch on the motorcycle. When you pull this, the dash comes alive. You can probably not see it, but on the mechanics will show you later the symbols and what they all mean. You have here 3 buttons. The blue one is for the throttle maps. We have 2 different throttle maps on the bike. One, there's a sun symbol, which means it's an aggressive throttle map, so when you open the gas, it's really direct and hard on the gas. And the other, when you push the button, it will change over to a rain cloud. That means it's you know, the first 15%, when you open the throttle, it's more gentle and not so aggressive.
But Markus, this is just a request, right? When you press the blue button, you want to change it, you're asking the ECU to check.
You ask, when you push the button, you will see one symbol changing. Next to the symbol is another symbol, which is the answer from the ECU. So you push the button, say, I want to change to rain, but maybe you do that while you're riding. So when you're on, let's say, half throttle, when you push the button, the ECU says, no, it's not a safe situation, I cannot change the mode yet. You will see on the 2 symbols, okay, the request is want to change, ECU still says I'm still in the old mapping. As soon as you go off the throttle, ECU says, okay, now I'm ready to change the mapping, sends a signal, and you see on the dash, okay, mapping has changed. So you always are, you know, have the information in what mode you are in and what mode you are requesting.
It's basically like our production bikes. When you want to change between modes, it will say please close throttle first. Here it works in symbols, so it's very similar.
Yeah. And also one important thing, what's different between the race bike and the road bike, when you have the rain setting, doesn't mean you have less power. Everything over 15 degrees throttle, it's all the same. It's all mappings we have on it, it's all full power. There's no reduction. So, and the other thing is, the green button is engine brake. We have 2 settings also with engine brakes. The symbol is an arrow up and arrow down. Means arrow down is less engine brake, arrow up is a bit more engine brake. So 2 settings for the engine brake. Just try it and see what you like more.
We spoke about cool factor. You know, when you're at a MotoGP race, or even yesterday, you hear the guys going through the pits, pop, 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 pop. Yeah, we got that as well, right? So pit lane limiter.
That's a red button here. Push a red button. The display will show pit lane limiter, and that means at 60 kilometers it will not accelerate anymore. You can give full throttle, but it keeps you with a speed of 60.
Just a question, Markus, like, you know, super cool going through the pits on the limiter, full gas, first gear, right?
Yeah, first gear.
So as I leave the pit lane, if I press the pit lane limiter off and I'm still like this, what's going to happen?
You probably will land on your ass. So when you switch off the pit lane limiter, you need to roll off the gas, because first gear, full gas, pit limiter off. We try to make it as gentle as possible, the revving back in, but you know, it's when you don't go off the gas, it will flip you. So this is not, let's say, a road bike which do all the thinking.
All right, so where we left off there was actually, it was at the end of the presentation already, but Markus was just pointing out that the bike does have electronics to a degree, but it's not going to ride itself for you. But it does have some, the power delivery modes, not power output. The output stays the same, but the delivery can change, whether it's wet or dry. And then the engine braking settings, so you can reduce or increase engine braking depending on, you know, what you enjoy. In a nutshell, what really stands out to me is the stability of the chassis in turning and the adjustability for the suspension and the chassis itself. And I think that's like the little bit of Kramer magic that comes with the RC8C. And of course, the really beautiful KTM look, right, and the bodywork, right? That's super special. So we will be receiving the RC8C in, I think, about 6 to 8 weeks. But as soon as I get the bike, we'll definitely do an in-depth video to show you guys all the nuts and bolts and, you know, all the different angles and the bike up close. It's absolutely beautiful, and some track footage, of course. And yeah, so stay tuned. I think the next thing we'll probably shoot is more gear and equipment. That suit behind that you might see there, right there, is my new Vircos custom suit for the KTM RC8C. If you guys have any questions or comments about the RC8C itself, please let me know in the comments below. Or if you even have any requests for motorcycles or gear or apparel, whatever it is, let me know. All right, thanks so much, and I hope you guys had a great time. See you in the next video.